Hi, my name is Noah Gift, and I want to tell you about how to get started with C# and F# in GitHub CodeSpaces. GitHub CodeSpaces is an emerging new standard for doing cloud-based development, and what's fascinating is that you can use it as a full-fledged editor for .NET. So I'm going to walk you through how to get started in probably like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then you can go from there. Okay, so I have a new repository here, and I'm going to use this to hold my code example and walk you through some of the steps that I think are important when you're building out a first .NET application using GitHub CodeSpaces. So first, we need to go through here and call it something. Let's go ahead and call this thing hello, add .NET in here, and then just say CodeSpaces. Great, add some kind of a description just to let people know what this is. This is a starter guide, great. And then this is actually really critical, is not only do I want to add a README, which is a good idea, but I also want to add a template that allows me to not check in binaries from .NET. So I'm just going to put some placeholder here to get started. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and add a getignore. Okay, so here is this file here. I'm going to edit it, just take out the stuff I don't want, basically delete it, and then I'm going to paste in some stuff that I have from another C# project. And you can see here that there's some stuff inside that really makes sure that I don't check in binaries. That's really the big takeaway here. Okay, let's go ahead and check that in. Great, got that running. Now I'm going to go to Code and go to CodeSpaces and create a new code space. And this takes just a second here. What's nice is that it actually has 4 cores. It actually has all of the Visual Studio tools inside. And in addition, it's a pretty good environment for developing C# code. And so first thing I'm going to do is just maybe clean this up a little bit, make it a little bit bigger, move the screen around a little bit. And then really it's pretty straightforward to get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use a command line tool called .NET that's pre-installed. I'm going to say new console, and this will build a C# console app. And I just need to do -in and then call it something hello world. CodeSpaces seems like a good name. And this will go ahead and create a scaffold of the project structure. Notice it's using .NET 5. There is a .NET 6 out available. You can use that. We're going to stick with .NET 5 to just make things simple. All right, here we see the structure. There's a folder, there's binaries, there's all kinds of things here. Again, because we have the getignore, we're in good hands. Now, a very, very simple, about 10 lines of code or so, hello world. And notice that because I did that, it prompted me to install this Microsoft tool. Let's go ahead and do that. And that's one of the nice things about this GitHub CodeSpaces environment is, one, it's going to be available every time I want to work on this project. 2, it's going to install all the tools for me automatically, and they're free. So really, maybe 10, 20 years ago, I think many people would dream for this kind of environment, and it's just a couple button clicks and we can just start writing C# code. And notice here that all I'm going to do is just tweak the console.writeLine statement and say hello world GitHub CodeSpaces. Perfect. That looks good. And then all I need to do is go through here and run this application. And in order to do this, I'm going to need, again, to use the .NET tool. So we'll go ahead and say .NET run, and let's see what happens. One of the things that it's telling me is I didn't run this in the right directory, right? I'm in the main directory. I created a project. So I'm going to have to cd into that directory. We'll go ahead and go into hello world. Perfect. And now I can do that same program again. And let's go ahead and run that .NET run. Okay, it's going to take a second. There we go. So we've got our C# code working. That's great. Now that was so simple, probably the next thing we could do is we could actually go through and create a F# example. And so it's a little bit more options on the command line, but not too much more. We'll go ahead and say .NET. Here we go. I say new console. This time though, I say -language, and it has support for .NET languages, including F#. And here I can go ahead and I can say -in, and we'll call this F# hello world. Perfect. now it went through and created that project structure. You'll notice when we look at this F# project, it's dramatically different. The F# language is really a unique thing. It looks a little bit like Python, a little bit like Swift, a little bit like some other languages like Haskell, but you can see the let from here is a function with an argument whom. And so this entry point here says, hello world from F#. I'm going to tweak it, and I'm just going to add a little bit of stuff on line 12 here and make it do a hello world from CodeSpaces. So let's go ahead and do that. Hello world to GitHub CodeSpaces, and then the message will be sent in at the very end. And we'll go ahead and say, again, the history here is a neat thing to know about. If we do a !6, this will invoke that line 6. This is a good thing to know about in history. You can just do ! and line number. Here we go, .NET run. And this will invoke our F# code. Perfect. And now one of the great things, now that we've got both C# and F# projects running inside of GitHub CodeSpaces, is that now our hard work with the git ignore comes in handy. I can say git add star, which I like to do. And now if we type in git status, look, there's only a F# project file and an F# file, a C# project file and a C# file. So now we can check both of these in, and I can just do a git commit. And I can add these into GitHub, and then we're basically all done with our tutorial. All right, so now that we've got this running, I would definitely recommend you go ahead and try this out on your own.